Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing well. We are Matías Pérez Rubio, Gloria Garay, and Florencia Rodriguez, and our topic was about cross-cultural, intercultural, and multicultural. And during this presentation, we are going to focus on everyday aspects that are not often thought of as culture, how they are applied to EFL textbooks, and how they might impact on our classes. Okay, so this introduction will be delivered by me, Florencia Rodriguez. But before talking about cross-cultural, intercultural, and multicultural, it would be useful for us to ask ourselves, what is culture? And when we think of culture, it is necessary to make a distinction between high culture and hidden culture. High culture implies literature, fine arts, fashion, among others. And hidden culture applies to daily aspects of a person's life, such as behavior, language, traditions, non-verbal behavior like greetings, and also farewells. And therefore, we can regard culture as an iceberg, where high culture is the upper part of the iceberg, because it's what we often think about when we think of culture. And the hidden culture is, as the name indicates, the hidden part of the iceberg, because these are the concepts that we don't often think about when we think about the definition of culture and which aspects it implies. So, the question I made some minutes ago was, what is culture? And even though it is hard to find a definition of culture, it can be said that it is a dynamic phenomenon that different groups of people all over the world can acquire and learn from generation to generation. And each community identifies itself with a specific set of values and a language. And within the language system that communities share, they can express, reinforce, and communicate their thoughts. And this is why it is possible to find differences regarding the high culture and the hidden culture of different communities. Cultures might not share the same parameters so as to regard something as valuable or less important. For example, what is considered fashion in one culture might not be so in another culture. And while greeting with a kiss in Argentina is considered to be polite and sometimes necessary, greeting with a kiss in Japan is considered to be very offensive. Nevertheless, these features are not always crystal clear, since a person's culture is sometimes unconscious.
Hello, my name is Gloria. I will talk about interculturalism and cross-culture. This is a common textbook which we can find in any Argentine primary school. This particular page shows us how interculturalism is imposed on Latin American students. Intercultural communication refers to the dialogue between a minority culture such as that of Latin students and the dominant culture such as that of British or American authors who write this kind of book without thinking about other cultures which are so different from they. We have to pay attention to language. Language as an important component of culture also has a great influence on the intercultural competence of international students. Taking this into consideration, if the culture of the second language is imposed through a textbook on Latin American students, this may produce drawbacks. Useless vocabulary. Students cannot use vocabulary outside the classroom. They wouldn't feel reflected in the foreign culture. On the other hand, When students learn a foreign language, it will develop their knowledge. Children understand their own culture in a better way. Children feel close to a foreign culture, and children develop cognitive reflectively. The purpose of cross-cultural experiential learning is to submerge students in a culture different from their own, so that they can experience the dissonance that accompanies the navigation of foreign systems and traditions. The cultural shock is noticed when students from different countries are exposed to new cultural, social, and intellectual experience in a second language learning environment.
After discussing the previous images, we can relate this image to different concepts that deal with culture. Try projecting yourself in a classroom with different kids from different cultures, as always happens. We can say that the author of this book takes into account who the audience may be, and he also pays close attention to what's going on around students' lives. It is not the same with the previous image of the house, where the context is already different from ours. This serves to demonstrate the point that misunderstandings among speakers of the same language are not necessarily caused by level of language or translation errors, but may have underlying cultural reasons. Clearly, both images are rooted in different views of the world and are incompatible with one another. We must assume that this picture shows the influence of intercultural and multicultural communication. As we are a society with different cultures and languages, it is important to highlight and work on the ELT classroom. There may be a situation in which a kid is from a neighboring country and the culture is not among kids. So teachers may come up with ideas to work with concepts such as intercultural and multicultural differences. First, highlighting the idea that interculturalism exists in almost every culture and promotes the active role of encouraging dialogue and interaction among cultures, whereas multiculturalism is the idea of accepting different cultures, beliefs, traditions, languages. Bearing in mind the picture described, we can interplay different features such as clothes, landscapes, infrastructure, tradition, etc. Brainstorming may be an interesting idea while discussing these features with students of different ages.
So, in conclusion, it can be said that as we are immersed in a multicultural society, we can think of a classroom as a reflection of our multicultural context. Therefore, we have to pay attention to it while teaching and selecting the material, since we, teachers, are mediators of intercultural and cross-cultural communication inside the classroom.